All right, so we're going to do a little review. And so I'm just going to pick a handful of these. And if you want to suggest some problems to do, that's fine as well. Let's, like 5 times 3 times 2. I'm not going to worry about that. All right. Well, let's work our way up to that. What about like number 4? Okay, 4 could be a little bit tricky. I could see why it might confuse you just a little bit if you didn't know about the stuff that we've been talking about. Let me change the size of that. Okay. Make sure that works. Yep. All right, here we go. Let's do number 4 right now. All right. You do it. I'll give you 15 seconds. Ready? Write it down and do it. Or just look at it and give me an answer. Or do it in your head. I don't care. Did you do it in your head? What'd you get?
37.
I got 37. All right. Now look, here's a common mistake. What do you... Shh. Let's listen. Let's pay attention now. What do you think the common mistake would be? A mistake. The 2 plus 7, right. A common mistake would be people going 2 plus 7 is 14 times 5. That's not what you do. What do? You do the 7 and the 5. Okay? You do the multiplication first. Remember, it's order of operations. What's the little thing that we use to remember order of operations? Right, PEMDAS. There's really no right way to say it because it's not really a word. Shh. We'll never get through these like at this rate. This needs to stop. Judea. So, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. P is for what? Well, this please, but what does it really stand for? Is it parentheses, then what? Exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Now remember, the multiplication and the division are kind of grouped together. All right? So if you see multiplication and division, you go from left to right. If you have multiplication and division in the same problem, you do whatever's first and you just work your way from left to right. Same thing with addition and subtraction. Okay? So they're kind of grouped together. All right? But right here, you got multiplication, so you do the multiplication first. So that would be what? 35. And then this is 2 plus 35, which is 37, and that's your answer. We good with that? Let's do another one. All right. Let's do, let's do 10. All right, let's take a look. Parentheses first. Okay, so what's in the parentheses? Which is going to give you what? 2. It's going to give you 2. So really, we could go 40 divided by 4, couldn't we? What's that? 10 minus what? 2. So you could do those 2 in the same step. Is that all right? So you did the parentheses first. You got a 2. Then you do the division. You got a 10. Now you got this minus. 10 minus 2, 8. It's as easy as that. As long as you just do it in the right order. You just got to make sure that you do these things in the right order. Well, let's keep going through here and let's see. Like 11, that's super easy. It doesn't, right? You just go 9 plus 9 plus 6 minus 5. You just go from left to right on this one. Let's do 12. All right, so what do we do first? Parentheses, right? So let's do what's inside of there. What is that? It's 21. And then it's divided by 7 minus 2. And then you do the division first before you do the subtraction. You don't go 7 minus 2. You go what? 21 divided by 7, which is 3, and then minus 2, which is 1. All right? See how I showed my work? All right? I didn't just listen to the teacher giving out the answer and write down a 1 next to it and move on. All right? Which a lot of you guys are doing. All right? 13 and 14? Okay, let's do 13. Again, a common mistake would be looking at this and going 7 plus 10, but we don't do that. We do any multiplication first. So what's being multiplied? These two things right here. So I just put a 7, put a plus, and that's going to be a 50, and then this is going to be a 10. All right? You do this however you want. It doesn't matter what order you add them up. I would go, 50 plus 10 is 60 plus 7, which is 67. Okay? This one's pretty easy. You just do what's in the parentheses first, and then you divide it by 6. I'll let you just do that on your own. All right, let's see. Yeah, this isn't too bad, right? You do this parentheses first, that's a 2, and then you go times 49, all right, divided by 7. Okay. 17, yeah, let's definitely get to that. All right. I'll tell you what, let me get my answer key out.
I'm not going up like this. Nah, Miss McCall said we don't let him no more.
Number 15 is 14. All right. You could do 15 a couple ways. Let's do 15. 6 minus 4 is what? 2, and then what? I'm not going to put the x. They put the x here, but I'm going to put times 49 divided by 7. Now, in this situation, I could go 2 times 49, which is 98, then 98 divided by 7, I guess, is 14. Okay, I don't have 98 divided by 7 in my head. Okay, 49 times 2 I do, but you could do what? You could go 49 divided by 7. All right, what is 49 divided by 7? It's 7, and then what? Times 2, and that is what? 14. So that's how I would do that one. Okay. Now I know I said earlier, if you have multiplication division, you go left to right. It'll still work, right? 2 times 49 is 98. 98 divided by 7 is 14. Or you could do it like this. You could just do those first and then multiply it by 2. Then you're good. Okay? All right? Yeah, it looks hard, but it's not near as hard as it looks. Let's do 17, though. All right? So we got this. What does that fraction thing mean we're doing? What order? Is it addition, subtraction, multiplication, division? What is that fraction thing? It's division, right? It means that we're going to divide. So what we're going to do, when you have something like this, and you got this big old bar right here, what do you think we do first? We do the top, okay, and then what? Then we do the bottom. We figure out what this is first. We do the division first before you do this addition, okay? Now, it's not really in parentheses, but we could have put it in parentheses. Like I could have done this. Okay? They didn't put the parentheses there, but when you have a fraction like this, always figure out what the top is, then the bottom, then you can go ahead and divide. Even though the top is subtraction and the bottom is addition, you do that first. You don't do any division first. You do what's on top first, then what's on the bottom, and then you can divide them. Is that all right? So what's on top then? 42 divided by what? 6, and then we put a plus 10 here. Now we do this division first. What's 42 divided by 6? 7 plus 10 is 17. That's all right. Everybody good? So that's a little different. Okay, so when you see a big old fraction like this, even though there's addition and subtraction, you do that first, okay, before you do the division. Even though our little PEMDAS thing, right, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, says we do multiplication division first. So when you have a fraction, you always do the top, then you do the bottom. All right? If you wanted to put them in parentheses to help you out, that might be helpful. All right, somebody said this looks a little tricky. So let's do this one. So what do we do first? The parentheses. So we do the 8 plus 5. So what is 8 plus 5? 13. And then times, let's figure out what that is. What's that? How about 7? Okay, and then plus what? 6. So we go 13 times 7. I don't know what 13 times 7 is off the top of my head, but let's do it like this. So that's 21, and that's 9, so that's a 91. Everybody good with that? 91 plus 6. We can all do that one. That's 97. That's how you do that. All right? We're almost done this. Let's find... Really, none of these are any more difficult than what we've done so far. What do you think? Which one? 26? Okay, let's do that one. Again, we have a fraction, and you got some stuff going on in the fraction, don't you? So, what am I going to do first? Before I divide, I got to figure out what that denominator is, what the bottom is. So this is going to be what? 8 divided by, how about 4? It's 5 minus 1. All right, times, and then a parentheses, 3 plus, actually we can do this. Let's just do it right now. Let's do in this step, let's do this parentheses. What am I going to get in that parentheses? A 9. Everybody see that? And then what? Times 3. Right? Well, what's 8 over 4? It's 2. So it's just what? 2 times 9 times 3. So we figure out what that is. 2 times 9 is what? 18 times 2, I think that's 54. Times 3, sorry. I pointed to it. I just said the wrong number. So it's 2 times 9 is 18 times 3, which is 54. Okay? If you don't know what 18 times 3 is, you just go 18 times 3, right? That's 24. That's a 3, and that's a 2, and that's a 5. That's 54. Okay? It's not complicated. You guys learned this when you were in elementary school, right?
Well, yes, but I forgot about it.
Okay. Right, because everybody's used to their calculator all the time. All right. So now what I have to do, bear with me for just a second. I got to get that other worksheet on here. It would be this one. So I'm going to put that right there. And let's get it so it fits. Listen, bear with me. Just wait. You don't have to start talking just because I'm putting this up here.
Dude, that doesn't mean you talk.
And let's put page 2 on here. Let's scoot that down. All right, let's make that fit. There we go. All right. Well, some of us did.
I did.
All right. It's evaluating expressions. It's the second worksheet that I gave you. Let me get that one out so I can see it. All right, where did I put it? I just thought I just saw it. There it is. Okay, here we go. Again, we'll do the same kind of thing, all right? All right, let's just start with the first one. Might as well. Okay, it says evaluate using the values given. What does that mean? Evaluate. We got to figure out what that thing is equal to. Problem is, I need to know what x and y is, right? All right, it's kind of like what we did on the last worksheet, except they leave some letters out, but they kind of tell you, right? You got to plug them in. Remember that expression? All right, you got to plug them in. So instead of y divided by 2, what number are we going to put in for y? A 2. How'd you get that? Because they told you right there that y is equal to 2. So I'm going to go what? 2 divided by 2 plus x. What's the x equal to? It's 1. So I put a 1 there. Now, we just took, this is our second worksheet, but it's basically the same exact thing that we did on the first worksheet, except you just have to plug the numbers in for those letters. That's it. That's the only thing different. Now, this looks very similar, doesn't it, to the last worksheet? So what do we do first? 2 divided by 2. So what's 2 divided by 2? It's 1, and then we add that 1, and what's that? That's 2. That's all there is to it. Okay. All right. It's pretty easy, isn't it? It's not much different. It's a little bit, all right? But all you got to do is just put whatever x is equal to, you stick it wherever you see x. Whatever y is equal to, you put it in for wherever you see y, all right? And then you're good to go. Then you just do what you did on the last worksheet. Make sense? Is there anything that looks a little harder than that on this page right here? Let's do one with a squared. Yeah, that's good choice. All right, this is y squared. What does it mean to square something? For instance, if I have 3 squared, what does that mean? It means 3 times 3. Doesn't mean 3 times 2. It means you take that number. We call that the base. You take that base and you multiply it how many times? Twice. Okay? You multiply by itself that many times. Everybody see that? What's 2 to the third power? What's that equal to? Do that in your head. I heard a 6, I heard an 8. Which one? Well, what does it mean? It means we're going to take 2, multiply it by itself how many times? 3 times. Okay, we multiply the 2, the base, by itself 3 times. So this will be 8. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. That's what exponents do. All right? You were supposed to take Algebra 1 last year. Did anybody take Algebra 1 last year?
Yeah, but we ain't really.
You didn't do it? It is probably pre-algebra, to tell you the truth. It might even go before pre-algebra. But at least in Algebra 1, you should have seen this. All right. If you didn't, you're seeing it now. That's why we're reviewing the algebra. Okay, that's why we're not doing real geometry right now. All right, because I just think your algebra skills were lacking. So I'm trying to build those up for you a little bit. All right, because you're going to see stuff that's being squared later on in geometry. When we finally get back to geometry, you're going to see a lot of the stuff that we're doing right now. I handpicked these worksheets because these are the things that you're going to see later on in geometry. All right, and I just thought it would just pass you by because I don't think your foundation just was strong enough. So that's what we're trying to do, just build your foundation. So what is this? It's y squared. Do I know what y is? What is it? It's 7. It's right there. They tell you y is equal 7. So how am I going to write that? 7 what? Squared. That's what we call it. Or you could say 7 to the what? Second power. Okay, either one is perfectly fine. All right, minus x. What's x? That's also 7. All right, and now we just work that thing out. So what we do the squared first. It's exponents, right? Please excuse. Remember the e, right? That's exponents. So we do the exponents first. So what is 7 squared? What does that mean, 7 squared? 7 times 7. So what's 7 times 7? That's 49. And then 49 minus 7 is 42. All right? And that's how you do that. 7 times 7. 7 squared means you multiply that base, that big number, you multiply it by itself. All right? Everybody see that? Okay. Let's do another one. Let's do this one with parentheses, okay? So here we go. We got to figure out what that's equal to. I have no idea what that's equal to unless I know what x, y, and z are, right? But they tell me x, y, and z, so that was nice. They tell me x, they tell me y, they tell me z. So all I'm doing is taking the 6, putting it in for the x, the 8, putting it in for the y, and the 6, putting it in for the z. So what do we put first? The z, which is a 6. Then I put a parentheses. Then I put the x. What's the x? That's also 6, isn't it? All right. And then plus, oops. Oh, goodness. It's dying on me again. Why? I didn't touch a thing. See, it's not actually working correct. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Let me just turn this graphics pad off and then on again. Maybe that'll fix it. I think the only thing that's going to fix it is if I turn the computer off. No, we got a board, so we just might not be able to record it, the rest of it. Yeah, that's not working. Oops, I got a little squiggle. I didn't push a button. Let's see if I push that button. Nope. I got 2 buttons on this pen. Let me see if that button does anything. Nope, that's not doing anything. What if I put both of them? There we go. Huh. I pushed both buttons at the same time. I wonder if that'll always work. We'll see. All right, plus what? 8. Okay? Now, here we go. That was the new part. That was the only thing new about this worksheet. Now what we do is the stuff inside. Now we do the stuff that's inside the parentheses. All right, so I keep the 6 right there. What's 6 plus 8? That's 14. And then whatever, that's what? 64, I think? No, I think it's bigger than that. 14 times 6. Let's do it. What's that? That's 84, sorry. So it's 84. Oops, there goes my pen. Let's see if it works. There we go. 84. That's how you do that. Okay? That part's pretty easy. Let's see if there's anything more complicated, at least on this first page. 12 because of the parentheses. Is that what bothers you? All right. So here we go. Let's do the y. What's the y equal to in this problem? It's 10. So we put a 10. minus, then a parentheses, then the z. What's the z? 2 plus what? 2 squared. Right? Because you got z's right here. You can't go z plus z. All right? You got to do the z squared first. Everybody see that? I plugged everything in, and now I chug, right? Plug and chug. Chugging means you just do all this stuff. So let's do the stuff in the parentheses first. So I'm just going to write down the 10, write down the minus, and then figure out what's in the parentheses. So what is that going to be right there? It's going to be 4. No, 2 squared is 4. It's 2 times 2. That's what 2 squared means. So that's a 4. We can do a little bit in our head, can't we? If this is a 4 plus 2, it's what? That's a 6. It's not an 8. This is a 4. This is a plus. That's a 2. Shh. 4 plus 2 is 6. It's not 8. All right? And now it's really simple. It's just 10 minus 6, which is what? 4. And that's your answer. All right, let's look at the second page, see if there's anything more difficult. What? Now, let's go on. We're running out of time. So let's do one that's a little bit more difficult than these.
20.
20? Okay, let's do 20. All right, let's take a look. I mean, you got some stuff going on. It is actually, this one doesn't look all that hard. We'll do this one, though, since you asked for it. So P plus Q. So, look, P and Q are both 1, right? So I just put 1 plus 1. I guess you could have done that in your head, but I'm going to write down all the steps. Minus, what's this going to be? 5 minus 5 is 0. Do I even need to put the negative there, the minus there? No. If I could click on it without clicking on the whole paper. There it is. What's all this mess? Okay, there we go. Everybody see that? Because this is just minus 0. We don't have to worry about that because if I subtract 0, it doesn't do anything to it. So this actually turned out pretty simple. It looked a little complicated at first because you got the parentheses and you got the squared, but it actually turned out pretty easy. What's 1 plus 1? That's 2. And what are we doing to that 2? We're squaring it. We said this earlier. 2 squared is 4. Okay? That's not very hard at all. Let's do one of the last ones, and then we got to do some addition, subtraction, and all that good stuff. Yeah. You can't just wait till this is over? Okay, good. That's what I want to hear. All right. Which one looks the worst out of all of these?
24, 25, 23, actually.
Let's do 20. I think we can do 2 of them. Let's do 25 and 26. Is that all right? So here we go. X is 7, y is 2, z is 4. So let's put y over 2. So what is y? It's 2. It's 2 over 2. And we know that's going to be a 1. But I'm just going to write it all out. Plus x. What's my x? 7. Plus what? 4. They finally give us a real number. Okay, plus z. What's z? That's another 4. Plus y, which is 2. Now it's actually really easy. That looked difficult at first, didn't it? But it turned out to be really simple. What's 2 over 2? It's a 1, isn't it? Okay, and now we just add these together. 1 plus 7 is 8, plus 4 is 12, plus 4 is 12 plus 4, 16, plus 2 is 18. So it looked kind of complicated. It turned out to be not that bad. This looks kind of messy, doesn't it? Let's see what happens here. So we got a C times all this stuff right here. So what's C in this number 26? It's 5. So I put a 5, okay, times, I'll put a dot instead of an X. And then B times C. So B is 8 times C is 5. And that's all over what? 4. Okay? So that part right there is this. Continue. Minus, parentheses, 7 minus A. 7 minus, what's A? It's 4. Okay? Now, what should we do? I see what I want to do. What do you think? I'd multiply all that stuff on the top. Well, the parentheses, you're right. We can do the parentheses first. That's going to be a 3. So this is going to be minus 3. So we could do that. What about this mess right here? What are we going to do to that to simplify? Do you see something right off the bat? Say what? You could do that. You could go 8 times 5 is what? 40. And then divide it by 4. What's 40 divided by 4? 10, and then take that 10 and do what to it? Times it by 5. Okay? So you could do that. Okay? If you wanted to, you could do this as well. Watch this. Everybody watch. Do you see the 8 on the top and the 4 on the bottom? What can you do with those? What divides evenly into 8 and 4? What's bigger that divides evenly into both of them? 4 does, right. 4 goes into both of them. 4 goes into 4 what? Once. 4 divides into 8 how many times? 2. So that's another way we could do it, right? You still get the same answer. So now there's your 10. Remember we said we had 10 before, we had 40 divided by 4? Okay, so 2 times 5 is what? 10. 10 times 5 is 50. Oops, it's a 50. And then 50 minus 3, and that's 47, and that's all there is to it. So that looked complicated, didn't it, at first glance? But really, was it that bad? I don't think it was that bad. Once you start putting the numbers in, then it starts kind of making sense a little bit. All right? Tell you what, I'm not going to take the time to put the worksheet up here. I'm just going to look at the worksheet and just write down a problem or two. I didn't understand a thing you just said. All right, so the next part is adding and subtracting. All right, let's make this white so it's a little bit easier to see. All right, here we go. What if you had this? What if you had 3 minus, and they put parentheses here, negative 8. Figure out what that is. Come up with an answer. Everybody do it. Do it in your head. You can do it in your head, or you can write it down on a paper. Doesn't matter. It's 11. It's positive 11. What's the rule? Add a line, change the sign, or you could just think of it as what? Add the opposite, or bang, bang, right? I always say bang, bang, okay? So bang, we make that positive. Bang, we make that positive. And it just turns into a 3 plus 8. What's 3 plus 8? It's 11. There we go. All right? What if you had something like this? Negative 16 minus 6 minus 5. Look at that one. Everybody look. Come on, pay attention. You're having a quiz on this tomorrow. Does that not matter to you? It should. It's the last big grade of the marking period. So it should matter to you. What do we do with that minus? We always turn minus into a what? Plus. So we always do what? Add the opposite. So add, this is when it's a minus. Every time it's a minus, you add the opposite. Okay? So it was a minus, right? So how do you know when to do it? If you're subtracting, you turn it into an addition, but then you add the what? The opposite. What's the opposite of positive 6? Negative 6. Let's do the same thing here. Here's a negative, so what do we make it? Positive, and then we change the sign, right? We add the opposite. So now we have all addition. What's the rule? And all the signs are the same, aren't they? You see it? That's negative, that's negative, that's negative. And you're adding them together. What's the rule when the signs are the same? You keep the sign. Just add them up, keep the sign. That's right. So what's my answer? What's the sign of my answer going to be right now? It's going to be negative because we keep the sign. So all we do is just add those numbers together. Let's do this. This is 11. What's negative 16? Or what's 16 plus 11? 16 plus 11. 27. Okay, what's my sign going to be? It's negative because they're all negatives. Okay, so when you add and they're all negatives, your answer is going to be negative. Everybody got it? And then I just added them up. 16 and 6 and 5 is 27. Okay, let's do this one. Negative 7 minus negative 2 minus 9. Okay? Let's do this one. Here we go. What do we do with these two negatives right here? Bang, bang, right? Add the opposite. Okay? Add a line, change the sign. Right? What are we going to do with this right here? Again, it's a minus sign. It's a minus problem, right? So what do? Make it addition. Right. Add the opposite. So we add the opposite. Now, let's do these together. Let's do these first. Let's do these two first. Negative 7 plus 2. Let me write it without the parentheses. So negative 7 plus 2. It's negative 5, right? Because they're different signs, right? You're still adding, but this time they're different signs. What's the rule with different signs? subtract and take the sign of the larger. So I subtract, take the sign of the bigger number. 7 is bigger than 2, so I make that a negative 5. Right? I'm still not done, though, because I still got to add this to it. So it's going to be plus what? Negative 9. So what's negative 5 plus negative 9? They're the same signs this time. So the same signs, you just add them up, keep the sign. So if you add them up, you get 14. If you keep the sign, you get negative, and that's your answer, negative 14. Okay? We only got one more. I'm not going to really go for the worksheet, but then you had multiplication and division. Let's just review that very briefly. We got like a minute left, okay? So what if you had 3 times negative 5? What's the rule for multiplication when you have different signs? Your answer is always something.
Oh, negative.
It's always negative. So when you multiply your answer, and they're different signs. Listen to me. Why are we packing up? I said there's a minute left. I didn't say the bell rang. Shh. Shh. I'm tutoring you right now. So watch. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15 because the rule says when you have a positive and a negative, different signs, your answer is always negative. What if I had this? Do we have different signs or same sign? Same sign. So what's the rule for multiplication division with the same sign? Your answer is always what? It's always positive. You multiply them, you don't add them. Division is the same exact thing. Okay? Same exact rule for division. Watch. What's 8 divided by negative 2? It's negative 4. Okay? What's negative 8 divided by negative 2? That's positive 4. That's basically all the rules for multiplication and division. Okay? They both have the same exact rules. So multiplication and divisions, to me, I think is a little easier than addition and subtraction. So there you go. The stuff that you've seen today is going to be on the quiz tomorrow. Put it right. Well, did I collect the multiplying? I don't think I collected the multiplying one, did I?
You said it was due today.
Let's collect it tomorrow. I'll let you use it to study from, okay? I'll collect that multiplying worksheet tomorrow. Yeah, so you can use it to study from, okay? What's that?